Jeet, any specific topic name for today?
No, we are just going to work on standard list controller only. Fine,
Okay,
nothing specific.
sure. Okay.
So let me create a page for standard list controller opportunity. So standard list controller, we need to define a record set where a fixed page block. Title, I give it as list of opportunities. Apex page block table. Value can be ops, variable can be fix column. Expected revenue, and there can be one more like stage name. Okay, so this part is clear with everyone, I guess, right? This is what we have already done. So just creating a list of records on a standard list controller page. That's what we discussed in our last session also, and the same thing which we have done here. Right, now there's a small thing that we need to understand here. This list controller by default shows you a list of 20 records on a page. If you count these records, you will see there are 20. All right. Now my actual number of records can be more than 20 also. 20 is what is being shown here, but actually my records can be more than 20 also, right? How will you get to know that? How will you check how many records my opportunity object has? It's pretty simple. You can just go to setup, and under setup you have this data storage usage, setup, data management, storage usage. Here you can actually check a count of how many records each object has. So under opportunity, if you see, there are 32. So 32 opportunities I have. Whereas on this page I'm just getting to see the 20. So how do I see the remaining opportunities? Right. So for standard list controller, there is this action called next. So on a standard list controller, there are a few actions which can be used for this navigation of the pages. Okay. There is this action named next. Next can take you to the next page. Okay. So if you are seeing 20 records on this page, the next action can take us to the next page. All right. So to call that action, what do I need? Which component I need? I need a command button, right? So let me just create a command button, apex command button. Value can be next page, and action can be next. Okay, because it's a command button, it has to appear within apex form tag. Apex form. Right. That is how it is. Next page, action has come, right? So it's initially it shows you 20 records. The moment you click on the next page button, it will take you to the other set of records. Got it? So for standard list controller, these actions work. This next action actually takes you to the next page. So if there were multiple pages, you could have used the next button to move from one page to the other page, right? Now, how do I go to the previous page?
Ji,
Now, mhm.
Ji, can we do this for reports too? Like if there's lot of rows and columns in a report, can we use this function of next button on the reports page too?
No, you want to display a report on using a Visualforce page. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean sometimes reports can only show these many rows and columns, right? And if we have more data, we won't be able to see it. So can we use this button?
If you're using, see, this is a Visualforce page thing, right? So if you're using
Yeah.
this button, can only work for Apex page kind of a thing, right? If you have created a custom page for your report, then you can use this.
Okay. Okay. So we can still create these pages for reports too, right?
The report is what set of data, right? And you're creating this page also for set of data. So nothing like that you cannot do that. You can create. There's also like a report only, na? If I'm
Okay.
able to put some criteria and everything, it's more like a report only, right? So you can still
But
do that.
यहाँ पे तो like opportunity के नीचे you have so much like fields everything, right? But in reports you can have multiple reports. So how are we going to specify which
Okay,
report we
fine.
want to
There are
use?
two things. Let me, again put two things here. One, it will be good if you let me finish the topic and then ask questions. Secondly, it will be good if we, during Visualforce, if we, focus more on Visualforce, and then later on, towards maybe the end of session, we can, talk about these various different areas. Now, I don't want to confuse everyone with the reporting concept and all that stuff. So we are not getting too much into reporting right now. We can discuss about this, how it can be done, how it can be related, everything we can discuss later on, right? Let's not talk too much about reporting. Let's focus more on understanding what we are doing here, right? And eventually what happens is, let's not ask questions too early. It is a good practice for you guys to learn, see what is happening, how it is working, and then try to relate it on your own also. For everything, if you are asking question, somewhere you are lacking on connecting things on your own, you might have answer to these things on your own. Spend some time, try to figure out, can you do the same thing the same way, right? So I can talk about that a little more here on the reporting part, but I'm not going to talk about it. You try and figure out how you can relate a report to a standard list controller, or how the same thing can be done here, right? And then let's discuss on that part. Okay, all right. Now,
Deep,
yep.
yeah, can you please repeat that command button part? Yeah, I'm little less used to it.
Sorry, your voice is not audible that much. Can you
Yeah,
just speak a
hello.
little louder?
Yes, yes, yes. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Can you please repeat this command button,
So there is
action and
this,
value?
there is this command button that we have used. Okay. Um, okay. Value and action. Value is what you want to display on the command button. Action is what action you want to define. Okay. So these are default actions for a standard list controller
Right.
page. Default
Okay.
next is a default action which takes you to the next page. Okay. Now,
Means we don't have to navigate it. Means don't have to do anything else. regarding.
You just have to use the next, so to move
To
into the
like.
next page. Absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Now, since I've come to the next page now, how will I go to the previous page? Once I've come to the second page now, how do I go to the first page? So there is another action which is called previous. That's also a default action. Okay. And there are two more actions. One is first, one is last. Apex command button, one value will be previous page and the action will be previous. That's it. Okay. Value can be anything, action has to be previous. So this previous will take me to the previous page. Okay. Now I am on the first page. The first 20 records are being displayed. I click on next page. It takes me to the next page. If I had multiple pages, then I could have used the next page for browsing from one page to the second to the third and all. A previous page will take me to the previous page. Got it? And the same way you can have a first and last action also. So if you, in case you have multiple pages, in this case I just have two pages, but if you have multiple pages and you want to have a button which will directly take you to the first page or the last page, you can use these actions. Clear? Okay. So that's how pagination works for standard list controller. So again, let's understand that standard list controller by default displays 20 records on a page. If I have more than 20 records, what I have to do, I have to use this pagination. Right? So that's how standard list controller works. Okay. All right. Let me know if you have any questions or doubts here. Understanding this part, pretty simple. All right.
Yeah, Jeet. Based on this code,
Hmm.
I tried it for activity, but it didn't work there.
Didn't work for?
For activity, standard object.
Mm-hmm. What does it say? What error did you get?
I didn't remember, but it didn't work and shows error that it is not possible with the activity. I didn't exactly remember that error, but yeah, I got error for activity object, standard
Okay.
object.
And you were using the correct active object name and everything?
Yes, everything I cross-checked.
Mm-hmm. Right. So these Visualforce pages actually do not work with some of the objects. Some objects are basically, in a way, they do not fall under the list of data that can be displayed publicly. So for that reason it does not work for some of the objects, fine. Or maybe for some of the options which are checked on some of the objects, right? So that's how it works. So I'm not very sure for activities if it will work or not, or if there is some error. But if you get to copy the error or take a screenshot of it and send it to me, I should be able to figure it out in a better way and tell you that what exactly the error was, fine. So anytime you guys are trying to do something and you find that there is an error and you are not able to proceed further, please do make sure that you take a screenshot or at least copy the error, so that now I cannot understand what exactly the error was, maybe because of something from the object name and all that stuff, right? So that
Actually,
helps me figure
for
out.
the okay, sorry to interrupt you, Jeet. Actually, I did the tried for task also. The error was list is not applicable for task. So okay, fine. I'll send you the error on.
Right. So that's what I'm trying to say. There are,
Okay.
more than 100 objects here, right? There are different rules for all these objects. So whatever you are trying to do, there are certain rules that Salesforce has for each object, right? You understand that part, right? So they allow certain things for certain objects. They have the standard controller available for certain objects. So it's good that if you take a screenshot and all, we can check it back and then we can figure it out that okay fine, why is it not working for that, or is it not allowed? I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. I'm completely agreeing to it. Salesforce might not allow. But the point is that in case there is some other error, we can figure out. If Salesforce does not allow, we cannot do anything, right? All that we have to do is we have to go and use a custom controller for that. If Salesforce has not created a standard controller for a certain object, they might have that. So why this screenshot or an error message copying, so that we can figure out that okay fine, this is what is a specific thing related to the Salesforce conditions. Okay, now Salesforce doesn't allow something, they say no, will not allow you to create a list for this particular object, we cannot do anything. Correct? And they have these restrictions for certain objects, as I told you, right? Okay, we are okay on this. Now let's go and uh, create an editable list page. What is editable list page? In case I just want some field to be editable on this list page, let's say amount. Okay, I want this amount field to be editable. Right now it's a read-only field. My end user wants that they would want to edit this amount field on the Visualforce page. Then what is the process of doing that? You can use an input field component there. Okay, input field component. So how will we use an input field component here? I just would need to use the input field component for amount. How will we use that? It's pretty simple. Let me create another page for the same. So let me just create the same page. But this time pagination we will not do, we'll instead do the space block table value ops that column. All right. So out of all these fields, amount is the field that I want to be editable. All right. So there's another component, input field component. If you remember in the standard controller, we used input field component, right? So one option is I can put the input field component for this column. How do we do that? Let's say for amount.
Inside apex column, create an input.
So start the apex column and end the apex column. Inside that put your input field component. and put the value in the input field component. That's it. Now, since you are using input field component, it will ask you to use an apex form tag also. So start the apex form here, and you need to close the apex form here. And like this. So now the fields have become editable, right? And you can use your the normal save action to make save the changes and all. Fine. One small thing that you notice here is the header is gone. The moment you are using an input field component for this particular column, you don't see the header. Can you figure out why don't we see the header? For other fields I am able to see the header. For this particular thing I don't see the header. Why is that happening? Just look into the code and try figuring it out. What can be the reason? Anyone?
Because in column component we don't have value attribute.
Yes. So when you're using a value attribute in the column, it takes the field name of that from that there, right, and puts that as the header of the column. Right now, what is happening? Right now, it is not allowing you to. Sorry. Now there is no value attribute, or there is no attribute for the column. So the column is just a column component, a blank column component, right? Value attribute goes into the input field. That's the reason why there is no header being displayed. We have a workaround for this. You can use a custom header value for your
Title.
not title, header value. There's an attribute called header value. There you can put your header. But this is something that you'll have to manually type. Okay. If you're using a value attribute on the column component, then by default the header comes. It automatically takes the field label and puts it as a header. Right? Alright. So this is one way of
This last column, apex column value, o dot account dot name. It is last one. It is something different from others. Account dot
O is the
name.
opportunity. O dot account means the account, the parent account of that opportunity and name of that account. Fine. So if you want to show a field from the parent record, then you use this kind of a thing. O dot account dot name, right? So O is the opportunity, and O account is basically O dot account means the account, the parent account to which it belongs, and I'm trying to display the name of that account. So this is the name of the account, Dickinson PLC. Okay, opportunity name is this, and this is the account name. Fine. Is it clear with everyone how why we are using this O dot account dot name? Or let's say I want to show the industry, I want to fetch the industry field from the parent account, then I should do the same kind of thing. O dot account dot industry. So it will show the industry of the parent account. See? So in agriculture industry, this is consulting industry, this is electronics, everything.
So for all the lookup fields, we have to do this. Means in this way only we can fetch the record.
Yeah, the parent fields from the parent object basically. It's not the lookup field. Lookup field is just the connecting point, right? But you are trying to fetch field from the parent object. Got it? So that's how you can get the field from a parent object in case you want. All right. Okay. Now we are okay with this kind of an editing option, but the look and feel, if you look into this, is not that good, right? The moment I create it as an input field, you see the look and feel does not uh, match with the rest of the page. This column looks completely different. Okay, you might not want to display it this way. So other way is using an inline edit option. Input field is one option. Another option is inline edit. So what is inline edit? Inline edit is basically an option which displays your data in read-only format and allows you to edit by double-clicking on it. Okay. Now the display itself is an input field, but inline edit will allow you to display it normally in an read-only format. You have an option of double-clicking and then editing the value, right? Something like this. If you go to any of the standard pages. See, now the data is being displayed in read-only format, but you have an option of double-clicking on any of the values and then editing it, right? Type you want to edit, you can actually go and edit this. See this? So this is what inline edit basically means. The display should be in the normal format, but by double-clicking we should have an option of editing. So to allow this inline edit, we just have to do a small thing. Let me go ahead and create the page once again. Okay, now this is the page. I want to allow inline edit here. Right now, if I go and double click on any value, it's not being edited, right? So I want to allow the inline edit here. How will we do that? It's very simple. All that you have got to do is okay. All that you have to do is you just have to use one more component called inline edit support. Effects inline edit support. Right. For that inline edit support, you can just double click on it. The moment you have included inline edit support, automatically it becomes editable by a double click. Got it?
Could you show the code once again, please?
Yeah, it's the same code, just one more component inline edit support has been added. All right. Okay. Now the problem with this code at this point of time is that this code is being uh, this is making the entire table editable, right? So see how it is working. If you use it inside a page block table, this inline edit support will affect all the columns inside this table. Okay, so using the inline edit support here means all the columns will get affected. Okay, sometimes you may have a situation where you just don't want all the columns to be editable. Maybe just one out of all these. There's 6 columns. I just want amount field to be editable. Okay, now what do I need to do? What is the best way of doing that?
Probably there must be some attribute itself.
The inline edit support is the attribute that we have to use once again. But how should we use that? If I use it in the table, inside the table component, it's affecting the entire table component. I just want
Probably
it in
inside
the
apex
apex column.
column.
Yes. So there has to be a way of putting it inside the apex column. Correct? So that's how it works. So you have to define the boundary for inline edit support, and within that boundary you should use the inline edit support. So inside the column component, now there is one more thing that we have to do here. Start the column, end the column. Okay. Now inside the column you will have to put another component which will be the output field, because value needs to be put using something, right? Some component. Start an output field, end the output field. Value should be o dot amount. And save it. Okay, so it's pretty similar to what we did in the previous example. We used input field component inside the column, right? Here we have used an output field component. Why didn't we use an input field component here? Why are we using an output field component?
Because it should be read only also.
Right. So if you use an input field component here, input field component will again make it an input field. So if it's an input field component, then there is no point of inline edit. By default it's editable, right? But I just want to make it a read only component, so that's the reason why I used output field. Okay, and your inline edit support works only with output field. It does not work with input field. Try putting input field here, it will throw you an error. Fine. Header is gone again, so I should go to the apex column and put the header value. Header value will be amount. Okay. Now if I double
So
click
one
on
question.
this, it becomes editable. Just 1 minute. Now if I click on editable, sorry, if I click on that particular field value, it becomes editable. Otherwise, it's normal display of data. Fine. Now this is only for one column. You tried for the first column. No, it's not editable. All right. Yep. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah. This account dot name and account dot industry, these are the parent data, right?
Yeah, right.
So here we using this inline edit support, we are trying to edit those values here, right? So
Yes.
is it it won't show any error that we are trying to edit the parent record?
It will not accept. Yes, that's correct. So if you try to edit account object from this page, because this is a opportunity standard controller and it does not have any control, it can display data. Inline edit also it's showing, but it will not update the data on the parent record. That's correct. Got the logic? What she's trying to say? She's saying that it's a standard controller for opportunity, which means this page is connected to the opportunity object. You can fetch data, you can display the data, but you cannot make any updates on that. Any DMLs cannot be done on the other object, which is not the standard controller. So that's correct. It will, though it's, since we used inline edit, it started showing us as display thing, but it will not edit the values there. The account values will not be updated.
Even if we apply inline edit for it, it will not
You
update
apply
it.
whatever. Your save button here on opportunity standard controller means, it's only authorized to perform save on opportunity. That's the logic, right?
Yep, correct.
If you see, that's what we have actually done. We have connected our page to one object, right?
Okay. Okay.
Now, using through that object, I'm trying to fetch the data and display. That's absolutely fine. You can use opportunity controller to display the child records, to display the parent records. It's absolutely okay. But the point is that DML statements, data manipulation or data updates or inserts or save will only happen on opportunity through this controller. This controller cannot be used to make changes into account object. It's logical, right? It makes a lot of
Correct.
sense, right? I can display the parent data, I can display the child data, but I cannot go and edit any of the parent or the child records from this particular object. This is only meant for updating this particular object opportunity. The same goes with if you are using an account a standard controller that will only be used for performing any data, DMLs on account object, not on any other object.
Good doubt.
Yeah. Okay. So do we have any other doubt or question here? No, we are okay. Fine. So let's do one thing. Let's do a small activity now. I want you to create a page of a list of contacts. Okay, so just go ahead and create a list of contacts, standard list controller, and these are the fields I want you to display. First name, last name, title, phone, and email. Okay, and I want you to make allow inline edit for email. Okay, only for the email field. I'm going to display the code, the one that we have done, and you will need to do it for the contacts. Can we quickly do this? We got 5 minutes to finish it.